Welcome to the CJK Fire and Safety Education Podcast. CJK Fire and Safety is a specialist consultancy based in far north Queensland, Australia. Specialising in fire safety, the business director and accredited fire safety engineer, Christina Knorr, acts as a special expert witness in legal cases across the nation. Join us at CJK Fire and Safety Education, where we discuss hot topics regarding fire safety in Australia.
The power of good records, documentation for engineering and expert witness.
Welcome to the CJK Fire and Safety Education Podcast. Today we're talking about something that doesn't always get the attention it deserves: documentation. Whether you're building a high-rise tower or assessing a fire risk, the way we record, store and access information can have long-term consequences. It's not just about compliance, it's about good business, future-proofing and legal protection. Joining me are two people with different but complementary perspectives. Firstly, we have Salim Dalla, founder of SMD Consulting, who brings a blend of engineering and technical know-how combined with cutting-edge digital tools to help businesses optimise their documentation and business processes. And we also have the one and only Christina Knorr, founder of CJK Fire Safety. She is a nationally accredited and chartered fire safety engineer and an expert witness who has seen firsthand what happens when documentation is missing, outdated or unreliable. Welcome to you both. Salim, let's start with you. Can you tell us a little bit more about your business?
Sure, thanks, Emily. So SMD Consulting was founded recently. It's came about with my 25 years in construction and building, but at its core, really, we offer an end-to-end service from design, engineering, design and drafting to building systems compliance work and digital transformation to really help our customers with everything from a design and concept to how it complies with the NCC to how we can really help their businesses transform through digital.
Yeah, that's great. So your consultancy service is often during the project delivery stage. Christina, how do you fit in? How does your services cross over with the ones provided by Salim?
Thanks, Emily, and thanks for having me. I provide expert witness services when it comes to defects claims in terms of particularly fire safety. So I come along after project completion, which can be within a couple of months to within a couple of years. And where documentation, compliance and filing are done properly, as what Salim is helping his clients to do now, then those clients will spend less money on experts like myself later on.
Excellent. Salim, what inspired you to start SMD to begin with?
Yeah, well, Emily, I guess with the 25 years that I've had in the industry across everything from consulting to work in different parts of the sectors of construction, residential, commercial, I did see a need in this modern age to really modernise the way we do things. There's been an old stigma of if it's not broken, don't fix it, or we've always done it this way.
Yeah. Have you seen much resistance or like pushback to getting things digital and online?
Yeah, I think so. It's more in the culture of these businesses. So the way that they've traditionally been operating, things like inspection reports are getting better in terms of how they're done. But traditionally it was the old pen and paper and checklists. But taking that as an example, if that moves to a digital platform, you've obviously got trends and themes across multiple inspections. But the resistance, can be overcome with good change management within businesses to really explain how they're doing things now and then transforming them into how things could be done a lot better. Yeah.
So there would be still businesses out there that still have a paper-based system. In our office, we don't even have a printer. So it's funny how they can be so one end or the other end. Can you give us some examples of the documents that are required throughout project, like with design, construction, commissioning?
Yeah. So typically at the specification stage, there is a lot of gathering of information or documenting plans and drawings for a project. So BIM is probably one technology that the industry is familiar with. That's been used, hasn't been mandated, but it has been overseas, and there's a lot of countries that have mandated for infrastructure projects. It is slowly being mandated here. In fact, I think BIM standards are starting to be established more so, I would suspect, in the prefab space, where construction and that manufacturing is off-site. So it does have to be very well documented. Then you move into construction, where you've got inspection reports, ITPs, and things like that. In which case, in some cases there, we touch on compliance. So, evidence of suitability for a construction type or a construction detail that's done that hasn't got the evidence there. So really gathering that information. And then ideally you want to get to the end of a project with everything documented in one place, so that when it comes to handover and your maintenance manuals, that you've got everything stored, segregated, organised. So really to make handover seamless.
Because that's a really crucial time, isn't it? That handover, like having a good package that the next person can actually find what they need. Can you tell us a little bit more about that side of things, like the impact of document handover and ongoing building management?
Yeah, correct. So I think, Emily, it helps facility managers in the bigger buildings to really manage how the building operates over time, but also in what work Christina does, if there is claims down the track, insurance claims or whatnot, that information is in one place and really accessible for when it's needed to be brought into situations where evidence needs to be shown of what was done on the project.
Yeah. Christina, can you expand on that a little? Yeah.
Yeah, even before the legal claims, buildings need to be maintained, and it's very important to know what maintenance regimes are applicable to a building. If that maintenance is not performed, building owners will receive orders or critical defects notices, depending on the state, and huge fines for simply not doing what they are obliged to do based on legislation. And when it comes to litigation, obviously it's a dream project when you've got a building and you've got a good handover package, so you can go back and you can dissect what is a building defect versus what is management issue, what is maintenance. That becomes quite important to understand, because if something is defective because it hasn't been managed or maintained properly, it cannot be claimed to be building defect. So this is where it's on one hand very important for the project delivery team to have those systems properly, to have the systems in place and everything documented properly for liability. For the building user, it's also important to have to meet their legal obligations. That's also about, the buildings themselves, the final product. But when we talk about the documentation of methodology, scopes, limitations, that can be something that plays a huge role in court, because people are sued often for something they're not expected to do, or something that they think was outside of their scope. But if it's not properly documented, it can go for years. That argument was or was it not in scope. But if it's documented properly, if you lay it out, then there's no argument. So there's no wastage of time and money and stress.
Yeah, because you need to have all those documentation, and I guess the testing and support data, evidence of suitability. That would be something that would often make or break a case, wouldn't it? If they do or don't have the evidence required.
Yeah, that we have numerous matters where, say, for example, cladding is being claimed as non-compliant at the time of installation, and then 2 years down the track, the builder produces a code mark certificate and some email correspondence to suggest that it was approved based on the code mark certificate. It would have been much easier to have it up front and not 2 years later.
Yeah, and then having this in a digital format so that it's all like neatly filed away, rather than having a folder with all like the printouts and trying to sift through them, would be where I guess both of your services can combine and make life easier for everyone.
Absolutely.
Christine, you would be spending a lot of time going through these kind of piles and packages? I know that I've seen some come through for cases where there's no rhyme or reason to a lot of the information that's in there. How do you put a timeline together or complete these kind of records?
It will always depend on what I get as a briefing package. When it's indexed properly and I get all the documents in order, often I get a chronology. It's easy for me. So I take it and make my assumptions. But when it doesn't exist, then we get just a dump extracted from a project file. And there'll be mixed correspondence, one email trail where we discuss 3 projects and you try to figure out which is applicable. Then I sit down and do my chronology, just this email was sent on such and such date and this email was such and such, and I charge per hour. So it comes then to a bit of a higher expense if the expert has to do that. But we need those timelines because when it comes to a claim that something, say for example, a fire safety engineer is there's a claim against the fire safety engineer to say he has not raised this issue with the building certifier and it was on drawing XYZ. We need to understand at what point in time the drawing was provided to the fire engineer, or was it provided to them at all? Because it might be the case that their involvement finished 2 months prior to that drawing being prepared, and they would not even know about its existence. Yeah. This is where time frames and timelines and projects and chronologies are very important.
Sounds like version control would be important there too, to make sure that the version that was signed off or distributed, it's the same version that was used later on. Salim, where do most businesses go wrong with documentation management, do you think?
I think, Emily, it's more around ownership of systems and processes. So, really setting roles and responsibilities as to who's a champion for a certain system or platform, I guess, isn't really done. And I think businesses can do better with assigning accountability to those within their businesses that can look after the information. Also, data governance. So how data is put in, how it's time-stamped, and things like that is also quite important. So I think it's really about having proper processes and systems in place and clarity on who does what.
Do you use AI for that?
I don't use AI personally. Actually, I do use AI for certain parts of my business, but I think AI does have its pros and cons. I guess AI on sensitive information can be quite not a good thing to use, but there are closed platforms within businesses where AIs can be set up where it just looks within the business's information and really makes information readily accessible.
Have you got an example where you've had to rescue a business?
Yes, I do. And I wouldn't necessarily call it a rescue, but an improvement in the way it operates, where it wasn't known where a project was at. It was asked for one of the people within the business to go out to drive by the site to find out where it is and really the progress of it. So I thought that was not the right way to do it. It was inefficient. It was potentially causing us claims over time because we didn't have that visibility there. And so we implemented a system where it was a digital system that had both office-bound and field services where it could be seen who's responsible for what.
Yeah.
And I guess with that came a lot more clarity as to who's responsible where. Yeah.
What about from a construction litigation point of view, Christina? Have you got an example of a documentation disaster in a case?
Yeah. I just thought about one where during the project, some product substitution occurred. And I was engaged because of that. And the claim was that the product that the original was substituted with was not as good as the original in terms of fire performance. Well, we could prove that the new product was actually much better through testing and, assessments. The catch was that the contract that the subcontractor then side at the time stated that product substitution could only occur if approved equivalent products were used. So we could prove the equivalence, but not the approved equivalence, because they have not gone through the process of actually getting approval from the client to do the product substitution. So that ended up costing them several $1 million to rip off a good product and replace with the original product, which performed not as good as the new one. So that was purely based, we won the technical argument, but they lost the legal argument for not documenting stuff properly.
Wow, that's an expensive mistake.
It is, yes, yeah.
All right, I've got some quick fire questions for you both. What are your perspectives? What is the real cost of poor documentation? Salim.
Yeah, lost time, increased risk, rework, the damage of trust, which is a big one.
Christina?
From my perspective, I would even say it can be cost of life.
Yeah.
When there's no baseline data and the critical infrastructure and safety systems are not properly designed or properly documented, it can result in huge expenses for litigation later on, and obviously bad reputation if that happens.
How about construction firms? How can they build better systems from the beginning? Salim?
Yeah, I guess I'd say start simple, establish accountabilities and really have roles and responsibilities well defined.
Yeah. Christina?
Yeah, I would say document, file, and correspond in a manner that allows you to defend yourself in court tomorrow.
Yeah, that's true. Is that the advice you would give to any builder or project manager?
Or anyone. So any phone call, follow up with an email. Get yourself removed from email correspondence that's not related to you, doesn't, because it can hit you when something is being sent to you and you're not engaged to look at it. And then later on, there's a claim that you've seen it and you haven't done anything. So.
Yeah, no, it's good advice. So should we, let's wrap this up with some practical takeaways. Salim, what is an easy step that every business can take to improve their documentation practices?
Yeah, I think something as simple as a shared folder. So a central location, and to Christina's point that things are structured and filed in the right way. Everyone knows where things are filed. Date stamping, time stamping, not being overburdened with filling it with too much information that's not necessary. So I think that's where the data governance comes in.
Christina, if there was one thing that you could make sure that everyone did, what would it be?
To have a good building management and use systems, like one document, one folder where all the necessary information is documented, and let people know about it, not just have it there, but have a procedure to train people. So the success of a business or a building management process should not depend on who is in charge. It should be available to this project manager or this building manager, the new one who comes along. I wish there was, a USB port and inbuilt computer in every building so people can just log in and get access to a digital filing system.
Yeah.
But I'm sure it will come up. It's something that just needs time to be developed.
Yeah. A bit building QR code. All right. Well, thank you both for your time today. It's been really great to have you both and having your two unique perspectives on this. And I know that this is going to be really valuable, not just for people in construction or engineering specifically, but also just building owners. In Queensland, it's occupiers who need to keep their documentation up to date. Also, anyone managing risk, ensuring compliance, or just running a good business. So thank you both very much for your time, and we will talk to you again soon. Bye.
Thanks, Emily.
Cheers. Bye. CJK Fire and Safety hosts a range of educational resources on fire safety and engineering topics, explained in an easy and understandable way. We invite you to enrol in our interactive online courses. All courses have a completion certificate and may contribute to your continuing professional development points. Visit our website at cjkfireandsafety.com.au to learn more.